The day Lily was dragged into the throne room, her hands still smelled of roses and soil. 2 armored guards hauled her across the black marble floor, past rows of vampires who watched her like a strange insect that had landed in the wrong nest. Red crystals burned in iron chandeliers, throwing dark light over everything. Lily had never left the human quarter before, and now she stood in front of the Vampire King with dirt under her fingernails and fear squeezing her lungs. King Darius sat on a high throne, tall and rigid, his pale face unreadable. At his feet knelt 3 famous doctors in rich robes, their tools scattered on the floor. Behind them, on a narrow bed, lay the reason Lily had been taken from her flower stall, Prince Kale, the only heir. He lay so still that at first she thought he was made of wax, until she saw his chest rising in short, harsh breaths, each one sounding like cloth tearing. He did not look like a monster. He looked like a boy stuck between life and death. His lips were faintly blue, his lashes trembled with each fragile breath, and dark veins traced his throat. Lily's fear did not leave, but it shifted. It mixed with a sharp pity that made her throat ache. She had seen flowers wilt in summer heat, their stems bending, their color fading. The prince reminded her of that, only human and painfully real. But before we continue, I want to invite you to something very special. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like. This helps me see that you support me and enjoy my stories. And comment below which city you're watching from. Now, let's continue. Step forward, Lily of the Lower Market, the king said. His voice was quiet, but it filled the hall. The guards let go of her arms. Her knees shook, but she obeyed. As she walked past the doctors, she smelled burnt herbs on their clothes. On the prince's chest lay a silver medallion with the royal crest. For a second, she wanted to move it, to help him breathe, then reminded herself she was only a florist surrounded by creatures who could crush her with a thought. One of the doctors raised his head. "Your Majesty, this is madness," he said. "We have brought healers from every kingdom, human and vampire alike. 1,000 doctors have tried and failed. She sells flowers in the poorest street. How could she succeed where we did not?" His pride fought with his fear, and fear was losing. "The oracle named her," King Darius replied, eyes still on Lily. "Lily, who keeps flowers alive where everything else starves. Lily, who leaves white blooms on graves no one visits. You touch what is about to die and make it bearable a little longer. Is that not a kind of healing?" His gaze was so intense that she had to look away. Lily's voice came out small. "Majesty, I only know how to care for plants. Cut the stems, change the water, keep them out of harsh light. That is all. I don't know how to cure curses or save princes." All her life, people had walked past her stall like she was part of the street. Now the most powerful vampire in the kingdom was asking for a miracle she did not have. "Yet you were called," Darius said, rising from the throne. The air seemed to grow heavier. "My son fell 6 months ago. The moon hid. The rivers slowed. Our enemies celebrated. 1,000 doctors failed. If you fail too, Lily, you will simply be another forgotten name in my records." He paused. "But if you succeed, there is no debt I will not repay." His offer felt like a stone in her hands, heavy, impossible to ignore. Lily thought of her narrow shop, the cracked vase from her mother, the empty stool where her little brother had once sat before the war took him away. No one had ever promised her anything but more struggle. Now a king offered her everything in exchange for something she did not know how to give. Still, her feet moved. She stepped to the side of the prince's bed. Up close, the cold coming from him was shocking, like standing near an open door in winter. The air above his skin buzzed faintly against her fingertips. Beneath the bitter smell of medicines, she caught another scent, rain on dust, and a faint trace of metal. On his wrist, just above the veins, a black mark in the shape of a crescent thorn pulsed softly. "What do you sense?" the king asked, standing just behind her. "It feels like it's not just inside him," Lily said slowly. "It's around him, in the air, like the room itself doesn't want to let him go." Her words sounded simple, but they were the only ones she had. She watched the mark, unable to look away from that slow, unnatural pulse. A doctor snorted. "We waste time on a girl's feelings while the prince dies," he muttered. His hands, however, trembled as he picked up his tools. "Touch him," Darius said softly. "On the mark." The throne room fell silent. The guards barely breathed. Even the distant sound of fountains faded. Lily's heart pounded so loud she wondered if everyone could hear it. If she refused, she would live with this moment forever. If she obeyed, she might not live long at all. She closed her eyes for a heartbeat and saw her flowers, stems she had trimmed, petals she had saved from wilting, tiny seeds she had planted in cracked earth, believing they would grow anyway. That was the only courage she had ever known, doing something small against something huge and hoping it mattered. "All right," she whispered. Lily opened her eyes and pressed her fingertips to the black mark on Cale's wrist. Ice shot up her arm so fast she almost screamed. It felt like a thorn of pure winter driving into her bones. The red chandeliers flickered. The crystals above hummed. A low sound she felt more than heard. Her breath caught. For a moment, she was sure the curse was crawling from him into her, filling her veins with cold. She tried to pull away, but the prince's fingers suddenly closed around her hand. A shocked murmur burst through the room. The doctors stumbled back. The guards lifted their weapons, unsure what threat they faced. King Darius did not move. His gaze burned into the place where their hands met. Prince Cale's eyelids fluttered, then opened a narrow slit. His eyes were dark, but a thin ring of silver light glowed around the pupils. His lips parted. A rough breath escaped, carrying one broken word that should have been impossible. "Lily," he whispered, though he had never seen her before. Lily froze. The sound of her own name coming from the dying prince felt impossible, like hearing a familiar voice inside a thunderstorm. Cale's grip was weak but deliberate, his fingers cold as river stones. The silver ring in his eyes pulsed once, faint and trembling, as though fighting through layers of shadow. Then his gaze slipped shut again, and his arm fell limp. But the mark on his wrist, once pulsing like a slow heartbeat, went still. The room erupted. Doctors rushed forward, desperately checking the prince's breathing. Guards moved Lily back as though she were suddenly dangerous. Voices collided in panic and disbelief. She could barely hear anything over the thundering in her ears. Her hand still tingled where his icy skin had touched hers. She pressed it against her chest, trying to steady the quiver moving through her. King Darius stepped between the doctors and Lily. His tall form, wrapped in black and silver, blocked half the room's lights. His face was stern, but stunned. "You," he said quietly. No one else touched him. No healer, no mage, no doctor. Only you. Lily swallowed hard. "I didn't do anything, I swear. He just reacted. Then he reacted to you." His voice had a weight that made her look at him. "Tell me what you felt." Lily glanced at Cale. His chest rose a little easier now, though he was still pale as moonlight. She focused on the memory, the ice, the pressure, the strange hum. "It wasn't like a curse spreading," she said. "It was like something inside him recognized something in me, or reached out." She hesitated. "Like a root searching for water." One of the doctors scoffed loud enough to echo. "Your Majesty, don't let this girl mislead you. A coincidence, a spasm, nothing more." Darius turned to him with a coldness that silenced the entire hall. "Are you challenging what I witnessed?" he asked, his voice almost too calm. The doctor bowed immediately, trembling into silence. The king faced Lily again. "You stay. All doctors leave." The gasp that swept through the room could have blown out the candles. Even Lily opened her mouth in shock. "Me? Majesty, I don't know anything about curing curses or saving princes. I only know flowers." "Then use what you know," he replied. "He responded to you. That is the first change we have seen in half a year." His expression narrowed. "And we are running out of time." The hall emptied with mutters and fearful glances. The last doctor shot Lily a look of resentment, as if she had stolen centuries of medical knowledge from him with one touch. When the heavy doors shut, the silence pressed close. Darius stood at the foot of the prince's bed. For a moment, he let the mask of authority slip. Lily saw a father, not a king, someone exhausted. Someone who had not slept without fear for months. He was not always like this, Darius said quietly. Kale was born during a red eclipse, with both human warmth and vampire strength. A rare balance, a fragile one. And someone struck exactly where he is weakest. Lily stepped closer, instinctively gentle. You think it was an attack? A curse, he said. Something planted, something that binds him between life and death. And only an oracle could have named the one person capable of reaching him. He looked at her, eyes sharp. Why you? Lily hesitated. The truth felt too small for the room she stood in. I don't know, she whispered. I just keep things alive a little longer than they should stay alive. Darius exhaled slowly. Then that is precisely what my son needs. He motioned her forward. Lily approached the prince again. This time she noticed details she had missed before. The way the air above him shimmered faintly, as though heat rose from cold instead of fire. The strange scent of metal and rain long after the storm had passed. The faint tension in the room, like threads pulled too tight. She placed her fingertips near the mark, but not touching yet. The king watched her every breath. She drew in one herself. Kale, she murmured softly, unsure if he could hear. If something inside you recognized me, then maybe I can follow it back. Maybe I can help you breathe easier. Her hand inched closer. The air grew colder. A shiver ran down her spine, but this time it didn't feel like a thorn piercing her. It felt like the soil turning under her fingers before planting a seed. A familiar cold, an awakening kind of cold. Then Kale's lips parted again, but no sound came. A breath brushed out, fragile, like the sigh of someone waking from a nightmare. Keep going, Darius said quietly behind her. Lily touched the mark once more. The room dimmed. The red crystals flickered. The faint hum returned, vibrating up her arm and settling behind her ribs. It hurt, but not like before. It wasn't ice trying to crack her bones. It was something moving through her, seeking, asking. The mark pulsed once, twice, then flared with a faint silver glow. Lily pulled her hand back fast. Majesty, look! Darius leaned in, and for the first time in half a year, hope broke through his expression. The curse weakened, he breathed. Something broke, but before Lily could answer, a sound filled the room. A soft, sharp inhalation. Kale drew a deeper breath. Not steady, not healed, but stronger. Lily felt her heartbeat stumble. She had made something happen. She, Lily of the lower market, had changed the fate of the vampire king's son. Darius turned to her, his expression shifting from awe to calculation to something almost dangerous. From this moment, until my son breathes freely, you do not leave this palace. Lily's breath caught. Am I a prisoner? A necessary one, he replied. If you can heal him, you will be the most protected person in the kingdom. Lily looked at the prince once more. His breathing, though faint, continued in a rhythm she had not heard before, one that held the promise of life instead of loss. But beneath that hope, something else stirred. Because when she had touched the mark the second time, she felt something familiar waiting beneath the curse, something that felt like her own memory, though she had never met the prince. Something she could not explain, something she did not yet understand. And as she stared at Kale's face, pale and peaceful in the low red glow, Lily had no idea that the connection between them was far older, far deeper, and far more dangerous than anything the king feared. Lily did not sleep that night. The palace attendants gave her a small chamber near the prince's room, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw the silver pulse beneath Kale's skin, the way his breath steadied only when she touched him, and the frightening look of certainty in King Darius's eyes. She sat by the window until dawn, staring at the mist that curled over the palace gardens. Vast, cold, and nothing like the small corner of the city where she had spent her life arranging roses and mending cracked pots. When a knock sounded, she stiffened. A tall vampire woman entered, armored in silver plates shaped like leaves and thorns. Her dark hair was braided tightly, her violet eyes sharp. I am Mira, captain of the king's guard. His Majesty ordered that I escort you to the prince. She paused. He also ordered that you are not to step anywhere without me. For your safety. The last words carried a warning, not comfort. Lily stood, smoothing her simple dress. Is he worse? Mira's expression twitched, something between worry and restraint. No, but he is different. Lily followed her through long corridors lit by cold blue lanterns. They passed paintings of old kings, each more severe than the last. The palace smelled faintly of stone, metal, and something ancient beneath that. A scent she could not name but sensed belonged to their kind. Her heart hammered harder as they neared Cale's chamber. She didn't know what she expected to find. She only knew she had changed something she barely understood. When Mira opened the door, Lily gasped. The air inside the room felt warmer. Not truly warm, but no longer the biting winter she had felt around Cale before. The red chandeliers glowed softer, almost steady, and the prince, though still pale, was no longer motionless. His fingers twitched slightly, his breaths deeper, as though he slept instead of hovered between worlds. King Darius stood beside the bed, his hands clasped behind his back. He turned the moment Lily entered, his gaze fierce as a blade catching light. "Come here." Lily stepped to Cale's side, her pulse quickening. "He looks better." "A fraction," Darius said. "But a fraction is more than 1,000 healers have given him." Lily swallowed. "What do you want me to do?" "Whatever you did before." He motioned toward the mark on Cale's wrist. "Touch the curse again." Lily hesitated. Her hand still remembered the pain, the cold, the strange recognition echoing through her bones. "Majesty, I'm not sure it's safe. The curse almost pulled something out of me." Darius's face hardened. "Then let it pull. If it weakens the curse, it is a price I am willing to pay." Lily stared at him. "A price you are willing to pay? But I'm the one risking my life." Mira stiffened, as if expecting Darius to lash out. Instead, the king pressed his lips into a thin line. "You're right," he said. "But understand me, Lily. I have already lost half my kingdom in trying to save my son. I cannot lose him too." The truth in his voice hit her like a stone dropped into water. Heavy, sinking, impossible to ignore. She looked at Cale again. His face was young and calm now, framed by dark hair that fell over his temples. There was nothing cruel in his expression, nothing monstrous, only someone fighting a battle from which he could not wake. Lily took a slow breath and reached for his wrist. Her fingertips brushed the mark. The cold surged instantly, but this time it did not stab her. It wrapped around her fingers like smoke curling upward, searching again. She closed her eyes. "It's reacting differently," she whispered. "How?" Darius demanded. "It feels—" She searched for a word. "Less like it's trying to harm me, more like it's listening." The pulse within the mark brightened. Silver spread through the tendrils of black, thin but clear. Cale exhaled sharply, his fingers curling. Then Lily felt something that made her knees weaken. Behind the cold, behind the curse, something familiar brushed her consciousness. A memory she didn't remember having. A scent like lilies blooming in moonlight. A voice, distant but calling her name. Not spoken, but felt. She gasped and pulled her hand back. The mark dimmed. The pulse steadied. Darius stepped closer. "What did you see?" Lily wiped her palms on her skirt, struggling to breathe. I felt something. Not the curse. Something underneath it. Something tied to the prince." She swallowed. "And somehow tied to me." Mira frowned. "That's impossible." But Darius did not dismiss it. He studied Lily like someone deciphering an ancient riddle. "Describe it." "I can't," she said. "It felt like a memory, but not mine. Or maybe mine, but from a life I've forgotten. Like recognizing a song you've never heard before." Darius exchanged a quick glance with Mira. Silent, urgent. Something passed between them. Something Lily wasn't meant to see. Lily's stomach tightened. "What aren't you telling me?" The king hesitated, and that alone terrified her more than anything. "There is a legend," he said slowly, "older than our kingdom. It speaks of a bond formed before birth, a connection strong enough to wake the dying and silence curses, a connection that should not exist between vampire and human." Lily felt her throat tighten. "A bond? With me?" Mira stepped forward, voice low. "Majesty, she is not prepared for this." "She must be," Darius replied. His gaze never left Lily. "Because if the legend is true, then the curse did not choose Cale randomly. It chose him because of what he would become. And Lily, his voice softened with something like awe and fear mixed together. It chose you because you are the only one who can break it. Lily stepped back, breath short. No, I'm nobody. I grow flowers. I'm not part of ancient legends or royal destinies. But even as she said it, her hand tingled where Cale had grabbed her the day before, as though remembering him, as though something inside her wanted to return to him. Before she could speak again, Cale stirred. His head shifted on the pillow, his lips parted, and then, in a hoarse whisper that sliced through the air like a thread pulled too tight, he spoke again. Don't leave. Darius froze. Mira's hand went to her sword. Lily's heart stopped. The prince was still unconscious. His eyes remained closed, but his voice, faint, fragile, was meant for Lily alone. And this time, there was no denying the truth. He knew her, even if she had never met him in her life. Lily's breath caught as if someone had pressed a hand gently, but firmly, against her chest. Cale had not opened his eyes. His body remained weak, half limp on the silk pillows. Yet the voice had come unmistakably from him, a whisper shaped by someone who should not have been able to speak. Mira stepped between Lily and the bed in one swift motion, as if Cale's frail plea were a threat instead of a miracle. This shouldn't be happening, she muttered. Unconscious vampires do not speak, and certainly not to strangers. He didn't sound like he was speaking to a stranger, Darius said quietly. He approached Lily with careful restraint, as though getting too close might make her bolt. You must tell me everything you felt when you touched him, every detail. Lily's knees wobbled. She sank into the nearest chair, her palms trembling. It was like being pulled into something soft, a memory that wasn't mine, a feeling of recognition. Her voice lowered, steady but fearful, like he already knew me. A bond, Darius whispered. He said the word as if it had teeth. But for a bond like that to exist, there must be a reason. Lily stood sharply. No, don't make this bigger than it is. I barely touched him. I'm not part of vampire prophecies. I'm just Lily, from a flower stall with a broken roof. Yet even as she spoke, the memory of that strange, silver-lit sensation curled through her mind. It had not felt like a curse. It had felt like a door opening. Darius motioned for Mira. Bring the archivist. Mira hesitated. Majesty, the archivist's knowledge is not meant for humans. Bring him, the king ordered. Now. Mira bowed, though tension creased her jaw, and left the room. Darius turned back to Lily. For the first time since she'd met him, his voice softened, not with kindness, but with the weight of someone standing at the edge of an old fear. 6 months ago, before Cale fell sick, the oracle warned me of a fracture in fate, a point where 2 lives would collide, binding or destroying the future of our kingdom. Lily swallowed, her mouth dry. And you think that fracture is me? No, Darius said. I think it is Cale, and whoever fate tied him to. He paused. And fate does not choose randomly. Lily pressed her hand to her stomach, trying to calm the swirl of dread. I never met him. I've never spoken to a vampire in my life. I don't know anything about your world. But he knows you, the king said simply. Before she could answer, the chamber doors opened. 2 guards entered, escorting an elderly vampire whose robes dragged behind him like smoke. His skin was pale parchment, carved with faint ancient markings. His eyes glowed with a soft amber light, like lanterns lit from within. He bowed deeply. Your Majesty. Mira tells me the prince spoke to the girl, Darius said. We need answers. The archivist's gaze drifted to Lily. He studied her with unsettling stillness. Step forward, child. Lily hesitated, then obeyed. His eyes traced her face, her hands, the faint tremor in her breath. Hold out your hand. She held it out, unsure. The archivist placed 2 fingers on her palm. A strange warmth spread from his touch, gentle and probing. His brow furrowed, his eyes widened. He stepped back sharply. Impossible. Darius stiffened. What do you see? The archivist closed his eyes, breathing as if trying to steady himself. She carries an echo. Lily frowned. An echo of what? Of him, the archivist whispered. Of the prince. The room fell silent. Even the faint flame of the lanterns seemed to freeze. "That makes no sense," Lily said. "I'm human." "It is not life you share," the archivist murmured. "It is something older, something formed before." "Before what?" Lily demanded, her voice rising. "Before birth." Lily staggered back. No, that's not possible." The archivist turned to Darius. "Majesty, this girl is tied to the prince through a bond older than the curse, a bond that should not exist under natural law." Darius's jaw tightened. "Explain." "A mirrored soul," the archivist said softly. "A soul split, carried in two bodies. A phenomenon spoken of only in ancient myths." Lily shook her head. "That's not real. Souls don't split." "Most don't," the archivist agreed. "But once in 1,000 years, fate chooses two. Not lovers, not siblings. Something deeper. One carries strength, the other carries remembrance. One carries destiny, the other carries the key." Lily's hands trembled uncontrollably. "I don't want destiny," she whispered. "I just want to help him breathe, that's all." The archivist looked at Kale's still form. "Then help him. Because the curse is feeding from the wrong place. It is feeding from the part of him that belongs to her." Lily's eyes widened. "From the part that belongs to me?" "Yes," the archivist said. "It is feeding from the bond, and only the other half of the bond can stop it." Darius turned to Lily. "So she is the key." "She is the key," the archivist confirmed. "But if she tries to break the curse completely, it will cost her something." Lily felt the blood drain from her face. "What will it cost?" The archivist looked into her eyes with sorrow. "Memory," he said. "A piece of yourself. A piece of the bond you share with him." Darius inhaled sharply. Mira froze in the doorway. "And if she refuses?" the king asked. The archivist lowered his gaze. "Then the prince will not survive the next full moon." Lily felt the world tilt. Her heart pounded painfully. The air thinned around her. And as she stared at Kale, still, pale, fragile, she knew the truth she did not want to face. She had already begun to care, already begun to fear losing him. And the bond, whatever it truly was, pulled her toward him like gravity she could not escape. For the first time, she whispered the question that had been aching inside her since the first moment she touched him. "Why does it feel like I've known him all my life?" Lily felt as if the floor had shifted beneath her, as though the palace itself tilted and waited for her to fall. The archivist's words echoed through her chest, louder than her heartbeat. A mirrored soul, a bond formed before birth, a curse feeding from the part of Kale that somehow belonged to her. None of it made sense, yet every part of her body reacted as if it were the only truth she had ever known. She took a step toward the bed. Her knees trembled, but she kept moving. Kale's breathing had steadied again, that faint rise and fall that held a fragile, stubborn promise of life. She lifted her hand, hesitating just above his wrist. Without touching, she could already feel the cold radiating from the mark. It wasn't painful this time. It felt expectant. Darius watched her with an intensity that made her spine straighten. "You don't have to do this today," he said quietly. "There may be other ways. I'm ordering my generals to search every border, every coven, every—" "No," Lily whispered. "You already tried everything. If the curse feeds from the bond, then that means I'm part of what's hurting him. I can't just walk away from that." Mira stepped forward. "He didn't choose this bond. Neither did you. You owe him nothing." Lily shook her head. "That isn't true. I don't owe him because of fate or legends or magic." Her eyes softened, fixed on Kale's pale face. "I owe him because he's suffering, and because when I touched him, he reached back." A quiet fell over the room, heavy and fragile at the same time. Even the red crystals on the chandeliers seemed to dim, listening. Before Lily could continue, a familiar dark whisper curled through her thoughts. Kale's voice again, faint as breath on glass. Not spoken aloud this time, but echoing somewhere deeper. "Stay!" Lily gasped. Her hand flew to her chest. She felt it, not sound, but presence. Not memory, but recognition. Darius stepped closer. "What did you feel?" Lily swallowed. "He's calling me. Not with words. Not exactly. But he's reaching. Through the bond. The archivist nodded slowly. Then the curse is weakening. It senses her. It is losing its hold. Mira looked between them, her expression torn between fear and awe. Majesty, if she breaks the curse completely and loses a piece of her memory, we don't know what that means for her, or for him. Darius's jaw tensed. I will protect her, whatever it costs. Lily turned sharply toward him. Why? You barely know me. He held her gaze without blinking. Because if the bond between you and Cale is real, then losing you would break him. And I will not let my son survive the curse only to suffer another kind of death. Lily's throat tightened. She tried to breathe, but her chest felt too small. Her heart thudded painfully. She looked at Cale again, unable to pull her gaze away. He looked peaceful, but she knew that peace was a thin layer hiding a storm beneath, and she was part of that storm. Before you decide anything, Darius said, stepping back, rest, eat, think. You have lived your life without knowing this bond existed. Now you must understand what it demands. Lily shook her head. I don't need days. I don't need time. Lily, no, I know what I'm doing. She touched her own temples. I may lose a memory, but if I walk away, Cale loses his life. Her voice trembled. And I can't carry that. Mira moved beside her, her voice quieter than Lily had ever heard. If you choose this, there will be no turning back. Lily nodded. I know. She stepped closer to Cale, feeling the cold rise again like a winter breeze brushing against her skin. Her fingertips hovered over the mark. It pulsed once, weak, but awake. Waiting, she whispered, barely audible. I'm here. The moment her skin brushed the curse, silver light flared beneath Cale's veins, spreading through his wrist like thin branches waking under snow. His breath hitched, his body tensed. The cold surged up Lily's arm and wrapped around her shoulders, pulling her deeper, not violently this time, but insistently, as if guiding her towards something she needed to see. An image flashed inside her mind. Moonlight hitting water, petals falling into a river, a distant laugh, Cale's laugh, echoing in a place she had never seen. Warmth, sunlight, a hand reaching for hers. She stumbled back, gasping. Darius lunged forward, catching her arms. Lily! She fought to breathe. It wasn't a memory, not mine, not his. It was something between us. The archivist bowed his head. The bond is awakening fully. The curse is losing strength. One more step, and you will break it. Lily stared at Cale, her vision swimming. Her chest ached with something she didn't understand, something fierce, something terrifying. Darius steadied her, his voice low. Tell me, Lily, are you certain? For him, she whispered. Yes. Before we continue, tell me in the comments what you think of this story so far and what you would do in her place. Don't leave the video because what comes next will give you chills. Lily placed her hand over Cale's heart. The cold surged again, but she didn't pull away. Silver threads flickered beneath his skin, gathering where her palm pressed. The curse resisted. It tightened like a knot pulled too fast, too harsh. Darius stepped forward. Lily, stop. If it takes too much. She gritted her teeth, refusing to let go. I won't lose him. Cale's pulse fluttered beneath her hand. Her vision blurred. Her memories flickered. Her mother's voice, her flower stall, her little brother's laugh, all trembling like candle flames in a growing wind. Mira reached for her. Lily, you're fading. But Lily did not stop. She leaned closer, whispering through the storm of cold and light. Come back, Cale. Come back to me. The mark exploded in a burst of silver light. Cale arched, gasping, his first true breath in months. The curse shattered, splintering like glass. Lily's body collapsed forward, and Darius caught her before she hit the floor. Her eyes fluttered. Is he alive? Darius looked at his son, who now breathed with strength, color returning faintly to his cheeks. Yes, because of you. Lily tried to smile, but a strange emptiness tugged at her mind, pulling softly at something she could not name. A memory slipping away, a piece of herself dissolving quietly. She closed her eyes as the world blurred, and for the first time since she entered the palace, she felt afraid of forgetting something important, something she loved, something she could not yet remember. When Lily woke, she felt weightless, like her mind floated a few inches above her body, untethered, uncertain of where it belonged. The room around her came into focus, slowly. Stone walls lit by cool lantern light, curtains moving with a faint draft, the faint scent of moss and metal drifting in the air. She blinked, trying to piece together how she had come to lie in a guest chamber inside the palace. Something important had happened, something enormous, but when she reached for the memory, it dissolved like mist slipping through fingers. She pressed a hand to her forehead. Her pulse throbbed, slow and unsteady. Her chest tightened with a strange panic, the kind you felt when waking from a dream you knew mattered but couldn't recall. What did I forget?" she whispered, though the room held no answers. The door opened softly. King Darius stepped inside. Not in armor, not in regal posture, he looked human, exhausted, older than yesterday, but his eyes, sharp and commanding, softened when they fell on her. "You're awake." Lily forced herself to sit up, even as dizziness rolled through her. "Majesty, what happened?" Darius crossed the room and sat on a chair beside her bed. His movements, always precise, carried an unfamiliar gentleness now. "You broke the curse." Lily's breath caught. Did I? The memory refused to form, only a flash of silver, a whisper, a cold that felt like a river running through her bones, and a voice calling her name. But when she tried to grasp the details, everything blurred again. Darius watched her closely. "You don't remember?" It wasn't a question. She shook her head, frustration tightening her throat. "I know I was with him. I know something happened. But everything after that is gone." The king exhaled, closing his eyes for a moment. "The archivist warned us. Breaking the curse required a sacrifice from your side of the bond." Lily's stomach twisted. "A memory," she whispered. "A piece of myself." "Yes," Darius said, "and it seems the piece you lost is tied to the bond you share with Kale. You will remember everything else, your life, your family, your work, but not him, and not what ties you together." Her breath shook. "Why would the curse take that?" Darius gazed at her with something like sorrow and understanding. "Because that was the part of him it fed from, the part that belonged to you." Lily's eyes widened. The bond, he echoed. "He knew you, before he even opened his eyes." Lily gripped the blanket, trying to steady herself. "I don't feel like I know him." "You don't," Darius murmured. "Not anymore." The door opened again. Mira entered, her armor reflecting the lantern light, her expression stiff with concern. "Majesty, the prince is asking for her." Lily froze. "He's awake?" Darius nodded. "Fully, and asking for only one person." A trembling breath escaped her. "But he'll expect me to know him." Mira stepped closer. "He will understand. The archivist warned us what the cost might be. His memory of you is intact. But yours—" Lily swallowed hard. Fear flickered through her, sharp and cold. What would it feel like to meet someone who remembered her more deeply than she remembered herself? Someone whose voice had whispered inside her mind before she even knew his face? Darius stood. "You don't have to see him yet." Lily looked up. "But he needs me, doesn't he?" Darius hesitated. "Yes, then take me to him." Mira led them through a long corridor toward the royal chambers. Lily's heartbeat pounded louder with every step. She tried to conjure an image of Kale's face, tried to grasp even a fragment of what she had lost. Nothing came, only the hollow ache of a missing piece. When they reached the door, Mira paused. "He has been waiting with impatience. Be prepared." Lily nodded, though she felt anything but prepared. Darius opened the door. Lily stepped inside. Prince Kale was sitting upright in his bed. The silver threads of the broken curse faded from his skin. His complexion held color now, pale but alive. His dark hair fell slightly over his forehead, and when he lifted his eyes lined with silver light that pulsed faintly, Lily felt something strike her chest. Recognition, but not memory. Something deeper, something instinctive. Kale inhaled sharply the moment he saw her. "Lily!" Her name left his lips like a breath he had been holding for months. She froze. She wished she remembered the moments he spoke of. She wished she felt the certainty he clearly felt. but all she could do was stand there, trembling in the doorway. He pushed himself forward, trying to rise. Darius moved quickly to steady him, but Cale never took his eyes off Lily. "You came," he whispered. Lily's voice trembled. "I did, but I don't know what you expect of me. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember us." Cale's expression faltered for the first time since she entered. His breath hitched, not from pain, but from heartbreak. He lowered his gaze, gripping the edge of the blanket. "The archivist warned me," he murmured. "He said breaking the curse might take something from you. I just prayed it wouldn't be this." Lily stepped closer, not because she remembered him, but because something inside her, something ancient, fragile, and real, pulled her toward him. "I don't know you," she whispered, "but when I look at you, it feels like I should." Cale lifted his head, his voice cracked. "I can remind you." Her breath trembled. "Can you?" He nodded slowly. "The bond isn't broken. The curse wanted to sever it. You weakened it. You saved me. But the bond is still there, sleeping." Lily's heart hammered. "How do we wake it?" Cale extended his hand, slowly, respectfully, palm open, waiting for her. "By giving it a reason to return." She stared at his hand, a simple gesture, but filled with a weight she felt all the way down to her bones. She hesitated, then reached out. The moment her fingers brushed his, a faint warmth pulsed through her arm, soft, familiar, like the echo of a memory not yet recovered. Cale inhaled sharply, closing his eyes as though feeling something sacred. Lily gasped softly. "I felt something." Cale smiled, small, hopeful, almost disbelieving. "It's still there." Lily squeezed his hand. "Then help me find the rest of it." His voice softened. "I will, no matter how long it takes." Behind them, Darius exhaled, a quiet, relieved sound. Mira stepped back to give them space, her eyes softer than Lily had ever seen. Lily sat beside Cale's bed. She still didn't know their past, but in that moment, she knew their future had just begun, and the bond, though torn, though bruised, was waiting to be reborn. Lily expected the bond to return in a rush of memories, bright, overwhelming, undeniable. Instead, what she felt was softer, quieter. A warm thread tugging gently at her chest as she sat beside Cale's bed, his hand still loosely wrapped around hers. The connection wasn't a storm. It was a whisper, a tremor, a beginning. Cale watched her with a careful tenderness, as if afraid that any sudden movement might push her farther from him. His silver-lined eyes shimmered in the lantern light, full of emotion she didn't yet remember how to return. But something inside her responded anyway, like an instinct buried beneath fresh snow. He spoke first, voice steady but vulnerable. "You saved my life." Lily swallowed. "I don't remember how." "You held on," Cale said softly. "When the curse tried to take everything from us, you held on." His fingers brushed lightly against hers. "You chose me." Lily looked down at their joined hands. Her memory didn't rise to meet his words, but her heart did. Something about the way his thumb traced the back of her hand felt familiar. Not as a memory, more like a truth her body recognized before her mind did. "What was it like, for you?" she asked quietly. Cale leaned back against the pillows, his breath unsteady, like drowning in ice, like being trapped between breaths. "I heard every doctor whisper that I was lost. I felt time passing, slow and cruel." He paused, his voice thickening. "And then I felt you." Lily's pulse quickened. "Felt me? How?" "Like warmth spreading through frozen water," Cale murmured. "Like a voice calling from far away, telling me to stay. Every time you touched me, the curse weakened. Every time you were near, He cut himself off, looking away as if the words were too intimate to speak aloud. Lily leaned forward. "Tell me." He met her eyes again, breath trembling. "I remembered you." Lily's throat tightened painfully. "But I don't know what you're remembering. I don't know who I was to you." Cale hesitated, then released her hand gently, giving her space. "Let me show you, slowly. Not with magic or force, just moments." He lifted a small wooden box from his bedside table, a delicate thing carved with vines and moons. Lily frowned. "What's that?" "You made it," Cale said quietly. 2 months before the curse. Lily's breath caught. She had no memory of crafting anything for a prince, or of ever being inside this palace. Yet when Kale handed her the box, her fingers closed around it naturally, as if they had done so many times before. She traced the engraved petals along the lid. A strange warmth spread through her chest. Not a memory, but the echo of one. Kale watched her with hopeful eyes. "Open it." Lily lifted the lid. Inside lay a single pressed lily, preserved between thin sheets of moon-pale paper. Her breath stilled. Her heart thudded once, and something inside her shifted. A soft click, like a door unlocking in her mind. A flash of sound. Laughter near water. A voice, his voice, saying her name warmly. But when she reached for it, the memory slid away again. Lily exhaled shakily. "I felt something." Kale nodded slowly. "The bond isn't gone, it's wounded, but wounds heal." The door opened softly. Darius entered, followed by Mira. The king paused when he saw Lily holding the wooden box. Relief flickered across his features, subtle but unmistakable. "Lily," Darius said, "the kingdom owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Lily shook her head. "I didn't do it for the kingdom." Darius's eyes softened. "I know." Mira stepped forward. "Majesty, the council is gathering. They want to see the prince, to confirm he's truly healed." Kale stiffened. Darius's jaw tightened. Mira lowered her gaze, clearly expecting resistance. But Kale nodded. "Let them come." "You're sure?" Darius asked quietly. Kale met Lily's eyes. "I won't hide. Not anymore." Mira left to assemble the council, and Darius lingered for a moment. He studied Lily with a sincerity rare for a king. "He will need you there," he said. Beside him. Lily hesitated. "What if I don't remember the bond in time? What if I say something wrong?" Darius shook his head. "What your mind forgets, your heart still knows. That is enough." He left the room, closing the door gently behind him. Kale reached for Lily's hand again. This time she didn't hesitate. Her fingers fit into his easily, naturally, as though they had always belonged there. Voices began gathering outside the chamber, council members, nobles, guards. But Lily heard none of them. She felt only the steady warmth of Kale's hand and the faint, familiar tug inside her chest. Kale inhaled deeply, gathering strength. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, trembling with sincerity. "Lily, I don't know what the future demands of us. I don't know how long it will take for your memories to return." Lily squeezed his hand. But I do know this," Kale whispered. "The bond didn't choose us by accident, and whatever piece of you the curse took, we'll rebuild it, together." Lily's heart stuttered, painful, hopeful. "Together," she echoed. The door opened again. The council waited. The kingdom waited. But Kale held her gaze for one last moment. A silent promise passed between them. Fragile maybe, but real. A beginning shaped by sacrifice and fate, and something older than either of them could name. Lily stood with him, steadying the prince as he rose to face his people. Her memory was fractured, but her future was clear, and whatever part of herself she had lost to save him, she knew she would find something even stronger in returning to him. What did you think of the story? Subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who will also be moved today.